Hello, good people of the internet. It is I, Craig from the Electric Church, and I saw The Invisible Man last night. The brand new movie just came out in theaters. I don't have who directed it. I've been meaning to write down the writer and the star when I do these. My bad. I started recording. I'm not going to start again. Overall, I thought the movie was really well made. It's loosely based off H.G. Wells' book, and it's got a really good production value. The lead actress, Elizabeth Moss, does a really good job acting in this movie. She really acts her butt off. I didn't recognize her. I don't know what else she's been in, but she really showcased her ability to act in this movie, and I think she's going to get some more work. I hope this really shines a spotlight on what she can do, and I hope to see more of her in some good movies. She did a fabulous job. There is some sort of plot holes in this movie, assuming that this movie takes place in this universe, which there's no indication it does. This is something I started to do recently, where I just sort of say, you know what, why are we assuming that Star Wars, for instance, like when a ship gets hit in Star Wars, it falls, appears to fall out of the sky, which doesn't really, fit with gravity. Things don't really fall. You can't really drop bombs from one spaceship onto another spaceship, but they do it in Star Wars. So, we just have to accept sometimes that movies take place in different universes and the laws of physics don't necessarily apply in those universes. So that's what I did with this movie for sure, is I just sort of set aside that what's possible in this universe isn't necessarily what's scientifically been possible in our universe. And it's not necessarily just science. There's other things. A guy fakes his own death in this movie. I hate to give away plot holes, but I try to avoid spoilers. But the guy fakes his own death, and then just pops back up, and there would be all sorts of logistical problems with legally faking your own death. But maybe in that universe it just doesn't matter. So there's just some little things like that. You only see a handful of characters in this movie, so you don't really get an indication of that it takes place in this in our universe, or that it that necessarily their society is the same as ours. So maybe things like insurance fraud and things just don't really exist in that universe. So that's the sort of things that I just sort of set aside. Like, boy, that seems like a plot hole, but that's assuming that this takes place in our world. So let's not assume that, and then it's not a plot hole. Anyways, that's my rant on avoiding plot holes. Anyways, overall, great movie. I'm seeing where my notes are here. I went over a lot of that already. One thing I really missed in this movie that I wish there would have been a throwback to the original 1933 movie. Something like in the original movie, I'm a big fan of those old horror movies. I watched them with my dad when I was a kid. And so in the original Invisible Man, there's multiple scenes of the Invisible Man wearing clothes, but he is, of course, is himself invisible. And sometimes he's wrapped up like a mummy, and different scenes. And I missed that sort of throwback of seeing a man, or rather clothes without a man in them. That kind of sort of thing I think would have been really fun to have a throwback to the original. This story, again, not to totally spoil it, but in the original 1933 and in the H.G. Wells book, the scientist who makes himself invisible goes insane. And for the sake of this story, he gaslights a lady and makes her act like she's going insane. So it's a really neat plot twist. I thought the movie was fairly well done, although the computer graphics were not great. Overall, it was a pretty good movie. I'm going to stop right there at 5 minutes and wrap this up. Thank you all for tuning in. Overall, I'd give this movie 7.8 out of 10. I thought it was a good movie. I recommend going to see it in the theater. It was a lot of fun. Wasn't as great as it could be, but overall, it was pretty good. The actress did a great job. And I thought the screenplay was fairly well written and original. So 7.8 out of 10, The Invisible Man. Check out the Electric Church podcast. And always support your local movie theater and comic book shop and restaurants. All right. Thanks for tuning in.